Now, into the ticket office of Disneyland.
Oh boy, let's do this. Don't think the CIA is going to be trying to hack your second-gen iPod.
I didn't think so. There might have been a lot of illegal music on there. I wouldn't doubt it. But, I mean...
You were supposed to bring death to the flagships, not join them.
Google has found a new way to piss me off.
iTunes is a constant source of embarrassment.
Every time I say it, it's going to suck even more.
May I present to you the cat?
I am Nadella. I can't do it anymore without laughing. I was going to do the whole thing. Welcome, everyone, to the Calling All Platforms podcast. I am your host, Wes, and I'm here with Landon.
Hello.
And Caleb.
We're recording this on the 20th of April, and doesn't mean anything, listener. Just thought I'd point that out.
And we are here to talk all things tech. And not the dates of when we record.
Listen. It might matter. I don't know.
It might. You never know. Certain things we say, they're like, wait, they recorded this on.
I guess it would probably matter more if they were listening to it today. What you're hearing is true. Or isn't.
Maybe. Who knows? Well, let's get into this, shall we? We have some news, actually, this week. We've had some interesting things happen. Well, first things first, let's talk about some Google and how, the U.S. courts hate Google. But guess what? They kind of did it to themselves.
It's true. And we've talked about this already with one legal case that Google has found themselves in where they were ruled a monopolistic power when it comes to search engine,
That is correct.
But now a U.S. judge has ruled that Google is an illegal monopolist in the online advertising technology sector. And that's interesting. I kind of agree with this, but at the same time, it's like there are other companies that make most of their money based on ads, specifically Meta, who is also having issues with this specifically as well. Which I do find it it's kind of hard. I find it kind of hard to say that a judge can rule two different companies to be a monopoly when it comes to online advertising, but apparently that's going to happen.
Well, I think that the difference, and it's an important distinction to make from a legal perspective. For Google, it's like online advertising framework and technology. For Meta, it's social network advertising specifically.
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
So with Google, they're all like, if you want to advertise stuff on just a whole bunch of different websites across the internet as a whole, you pretty much have to use Google. That's basically your only real option. If you want to advertise stuff on a social network, basically it's going to be Facebook.
Yeah.
It's going to be Meta. And so, dang, that's like your only option. So that's they are both advertising, but they're doing it in different places. And that's the thing that gets them both in trouble. And I think this is true. Google did it to themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
This is how that rolls.
It's the same thing when it came to the monopoly when it came to the search engine stuff, because that one specifically, as we found out, they were literally paying / threatening companies like, hey, if you don't use Chrome as your default browser, you can't have Android on your phone, or, things like that. It's like, you did this the wrong way. And same thing when it came, ad-wise, I don't think it necessarily has to do with that. It's not that.
They're not bribing people.
Yeah. They're not necessarily bribing people. It's just they've been doing it for so long that it's kind of just the default.
Mm-hmm.
And they have probably bought up a lot of smaller companies because either the company was starting to become a problem and so Google bought them out, or the company was like, hey, Google, we're going to fail if you don't buy us, more or less. So,
yeah. And here's the thing. Google played it wrong by buying those companies. They shouldn't have. They should have done what Microsoft did in the 90s and gave them an injection of funding so that they would survive just barely and have a tiny sliver of market share so that they couldn't get sued as a monopoly now.
Yeah.
Like, that's what Microsoft did with Apple, listener, in case you
Sure.
weren't aware. The only reason that Apple computers exist today, being the juggernaut that it is because back in the 90s, when they were literally about to go bankrupt, Microsoft gave them a bunch of money. It's just like, here, have a bunch of money, because we don't want to have to go through antitrust stuff, because they just finished going through antitrust over their browser, and they're like, frickin' no, we're not doing that again. So,
Yep.
yeah, Google, you should have propped up just one competitor, you know?
Yeah. Maybe that's what they did with Facebook initially, and then eventually Meta was like, "Yeah, no, we don't need you anymore." I don't know, but it's interesting, and like right now we obviously don't know what's going to happen. We still don't know what's going to happen, or like what judges are wanting Google to do when it comes to the search engine monopoly.
Yeah.
We definitely don't know what they want Google to do when it comes to the ad stuff. It will be interesting to watch, and we will keep following this because I am genuinely curious to see what is going to happen here. Because, I mean, I can see Google having to basically take Chrome as its own company and, like, divest it out, you know. But I don't know what they're going to do with the ad stuff, because if Google doesn't have ad stuff, they cease to exist, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what the judges want Google to do when it comes to the ad sales and everything.
No idea. It'll be interesting. But I'm sure we'll find out sometime.
Yeah, eventually. Courts take forever on stuff like this, which, I mean, honestly, generally is probably a good thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
take a while to make a decision, actually do some research before you decide. But from the perspective of, like, catchy news headlines and stuff like that, kind of boring, you know?
Yeah.
All right. We'll go ahead and we'll move on to some general tech news we got here. OnePlus Watch 3 is now for sale. But maybe wait.
Yeah. So, listener, if you remember a while ago, OnePlus announced the Watch 3, and it was basically starting to ship to some customers, but it was also found in reviews, and some customers even got this version of the watch that had a little typo on it. Instead of saying made in China, it said Meta in China, MEDA instead of MADE. And it was fantastic. And I still wish they would have just sent it out like that. But apparently there were legal reasons why they couldn't do that, so that's fine. But they did relaunch this watch, and you can now purchase it from their website. But I'm going to go ahead and say maybe wait a little while on this one, because its initial price was $330, which was great. And I've heard excellent reviews from this watch. Everyone that's used it absolutely really loves it. But the problem right now is if you go to OnePlus's website and you look for this watch, it's now listed, at least in the US, at $499.
Oh.
Now, we don't know officially if that is because of the tariffs, because this was announced like the same day or the day after President Trump, announced all of his new tariffs, which have changed at least 3 times since then, if not more.
So much changing.
I mean, they're probably going to change by the time we're done recording this again as well.
Probably,
but
yeah. Tomorrow morning, it's all going to be different. Who freaking knows?
Yeah. So we can't officially say that that's the reason the price went up $170, because also, I mean, OnePlus hasn't said why it went up to $500. But, I mean, is there a different reason this watch would be $500 now instead of $330? I don't think so.
No.
But again, we don't know that for sure. This is all speculation, but the watches are made in China. OnePlus is based in China, so it makes sense.
I think it's probably okay, given the context. There has been some research done. I don't think this is speculation anymore. I feel like this is more like analysis. We don't have
Yeah, that's fair.
confirmation of these things that we are saying, listener, but based on our analysis of the existing global situation surrounding technology, that would be the guess. And I agree with Landon and his analysis, probably related.
Yeah. So, again, I do think this watch is a great watch. And I would normally recommend somebody purchase it if you're in the market for a smartwatch on Android. But at the moment, I would say don't do that and maybe wait it out a little while to see if perchance they drop that back down to $330. I don't know if they'll drop it back down that cheap, but maybe they'll drop it $50, $100, who knows, somewhere in that more affordable price range for what this watch actually is. So just keep an eye on it if you are interested in buying it, but don't buy it quite yet. Please don't waste your money on that because, again, things are just changing constantly right now. So,
Yeah.
True. All right. The next thing, we have a segment called Things That Caleb Loves. Nvidia. They, they're launching some new crap. Take it away, Caleb.
Listener, same old song and dance. You can hop back like a month and listen to our episode where we talked about the launch of the 5070, or a month before that when we talked about the launch of the 5080 and the 5090 and all that stuff. It's the same. It's the same. They announced the 5060 and 5060 Ti, which obnoxiously comes in both 8 gig and 16 gig versions. And they only seeded the 16 gig versions of the 5060 Ti to reviewers, no 8 gig models. So none of the reviews that you're going to find online, or at least the vast majority of them, will have no actual relation to the testing of the 8 gig cards, which is 100% just Nvidia hoping that you'll go watch those reviews, see those performance numbers, and then buy an 8 gig version. Oh crap, your performance is worse. Sucks to be you. We already have your money. No takebacks. And the 5060 is coming at some point in the future. They gave us a few spec details, but it hasn't launched yet. The review embargo date for the 5060 Ti was the day after it went on sale. So, if you know anything about how tech reviews work, listener, that means that this product is a steaming pile of crap. And that the company selling it knows it's a steaming pile of crap. They want you to pay money for it regardless. And it is shameless, just obnoxious behavior from Nvidia. And everybody agrees. Linus Tech Tips, one of the largest tech YouTubers, straight up refused to do a review of the 5060 Ti over Nvidia's nonsense. Like, essentially, not anything to do with the card itself, but basically entirely to do with just the way Nvidia was treating the general public, the reviewers themselves, the, content surrounding the launch, and the whole of gaming graphics in its entirety. They're just like, nope, we are sick and tired of this. We're just not doing a review. And so they released a video that day, just crapping on Nvidia for like 15 minutes, just whining about how Nvidia sucks. And it was honestly best piece of content they've made this year. So that's what it is. Like, there's nothing to say. I'm not going to tell you the price. I'm not going to tell you anything about the performance of this card. It doesn't matter. You couldn't buy it at that price anyways. And that's assuming you can buy it at all. It's the cards don't exist in any real, like, tangible form. You can't walk into a Best Buy and grab one off the shelf. The MSRP is a freaking joke. It's nonsense. It's made up. And like just before we started recording, Wes asked me the perfectly reasonable question of, in looking at GPUs, have I seen any of the prices affected by tariffs that have, been happening? And the simple answer is, how can I freaking tell? None of these cards have been available at the price they were supposed to be available at ever. So have they gone up? Maybe. But maybe that's just what was going to happen anyways, because there's no flipping supply. And so people who have any cards at all can sell them for actual pants gold nuggets. They're unobtainium. Like, price doesn't matter. Are the tariffs real? The GPUs aren't real. The whole thing is an entirely vaporware launch. Anyways, graphics cards in 2025 suck, listener. And if you are in the market for one, the only thing I can tell you is about this policy change last year that Apple made on the iPhone to allow retro game emulation in the App Store. So you can now download emulators and play games on your phone, like a bunch, literally thousands of classic, super fun retro console games on your phone, now on iPhone, has been on Android for absolutely ages. So if you're in the market for a graphics card, give up. That's my advice. Find something else to play on.
Wow, I didn't think this would take your sanity, but man, Nvidia's doing it, buddy.
It's like I am done, quote unquote, covering the news on Nvidia. Every time they do something from here until the end of the year, I'm not actually going to talk about the substance of what they did. I'm just going to take it as an opportunity to complain about how they did it. Because so far, and I would love to be proven wrong at some point this year, Nvidia, but so far, everything they have done is worth complaining about.
Jeez.
Everything. Every single thing. The announcement slide deck for the 5060 Ti, the 5060, not the Ti, included a slide saying that the 5060 was 50 times faster for like millions of gamers or something, or hundreds of thousands of gamers or something like that, based on comparing the performance of the 5060 to the performance of the GTX 1060 and countering the stupid AI generated frames that 50 cards can do. Like, is that a piece of technology that a lot of gamers would like to have and would use if they had it? Yes. Does that mean the card is 50 times faster than the 1060? No. This card is barely faster than last year's 4060. And yeah, is it faster than the 1060? Absolutely not 50 times. It's maybe 6 or 7 times faster, but that's a very different number, Nvidia.
A little bit.
Oh my gosh, they're psychopaths. I don't like Nvidia. I swear, at this point, all of the consumer graphics cards are being developed by a team of 10 dudes at Nvidia, and they have exactly one guy to do all of their marketing material, and none of them actually know what's going on because everybody else in the company has been moved over to their AI chips and stuff like that. All of their AI projects, all of that stuff, that's what everybody at Nvidia is doing now. There's like 7 dudes working on the graphics cards, like for gamers and stuff like that. And that's why if you buy an Nvidia 50 series card, your drivers are going to suck. For like the first time in literal decades, if ever, that I can think of, Nvidia's graphics drivers are worse, generally speaking, than AMD's and Intel's. That's where we're at. They've got 7 like overworked, underpaid interns developing the cards and the software for them. And then there's like 1 part-time, I don't know, graphics design contractor that's doing all of their marketing.
listener, I have to say this now because it just might be the case. So this might be the last episode of our podcast because between Nvidia, AMD, and Intel, Caleb might just die while recording the episode, an episode in the future. So
yeah,
we might.
every time Nvidia does anything, I am within seconds of having an aneurysm. It's becoming a serious problem. I should probably go get like a physical and
Yeah,
make sure I'm healthy enough to handle this nonsense.
We need to have a physician on hand.
Yes,
well, every time we record.
There.
Can't record the podcast unless I've got a doctor present.
Definitely if Nvidia's on the docket and having its own segment. Do we need a doctor for this? Yes. Okay. Anywho, we're rambling because we don't want to talk about Nvidia anymore, so we'll move to the next subject.
Let's please.
Let's talk about another grand company. Is Comcast turning nice?
No. Well, okay. I mean,
I was short.
I did put that question in the doc because I can't even say that. No, they're not because it is Comcast. But they are more or less being forced to compete in some way. Not because, there are other ISP companies coming about and giving better deals, which are happening in some areas, but that's not what this is. This is like going to be across, like company wide, like you can get this deal anywhere. So there's a new deal that Comcast has come out with for internet, their Xfinity plans. It is a 5-year price guarantee, which, all right, that's nice. Starting at $55 a month. Pretty great. With no annual contract required. Also pretty great. And it also is not just for new customers. Like you can be a paying customer right now and get this deal, which is also great.
Like without having to go through the phone service tree and like kill a squirrel in effigy. And because I've done the whole like getting a price that was meant for new signups as an existing customer. That's at least 2 hours on the phone.
Yeah, I've done the same thing. It sucks.
Wow.
But no.
Without doing that, that's okay.
And like this is right front and center on their website, this new deal. I looked it up earlier because I am currently a Comcast customer and am interested in this because this would make my internet cheaper for the same speeds. And that's the other thing is they're saying up to 400 megabytes download speed, which that does depend on your area because some areas that speed is not going to be available. Like for me, technically my plan is this up to 400 megabytes speed. I average about 150 down, so I'm not getting that. But the other really nice thing about this is there's also the ability to cancel anytime without fees. So,
wow.
Like, I mean, it did snow where we are 3 days ago. Maybe hell has frozen over.
Yeah. What a good analogy.
Yeah.
This is really interesting. Now, I can't really say there's caveats to this plan, but so the new plan, it does include a lot of stuff as well. So I don't know if you have to do this, but it includes an Xfinity gateway, which is basically their modem router combination. I don't know if you can do this without having that because I have my own modem and my own router because I don't want to pay for theirs because mine's better and I like it. It's nice.
Takes like 8 months to make up the cost difference of just buying it yourself versus renting it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's now, not long at all.
Like I said, this is included in the price. Like it's not extra to get the gateway. So if it is like you do have to get it, that's fine because again, it's included. It also has other benefits. Like, I mean, this is kind of a normal Comcast benefit, but the public Wi-Fi hotspots that they have everywhere, basically, like if you're close to somebody that does have an Xfinity gateway, you can more or less use their internet without using their internet. It's a really weird system. I don't know. That's already kind of a thing for customers anyways, but that's included. Also, a free year of unlimited Xfinity Mobile on one line. And, that's okay. I guess if you want to use Xfinity Mobile and you don't already have it, or if you need it, I think that was for new lines. I can't remember for sure, but either way, I logged into my Xfinity account. It was actually offering me a free year of unlimited Xfinity Mobile with the new line. Interesting. If I needed a new phone, maybe I would look into that, but I don't need a new phone or a new line or any of that. But it's really interesting. Is Comcast nice now?
I
It is
feel
a competitive deal.
a lot of the stuff that this is addressing, like the no annual contract, the 5 years of guaranteed pricing, the I feel like some of this stuff is specifically addressing FTC requirements that were put into place a few years ago and had a deadline of this year for companies to be compliant with them. The whole being able to cancel without having fees and that kind of thing. I think that this is just Comcast finally coming into compliance with FTC guidance so that they don't get fined.
Yep, and that's exactly where I was going with this because, like I said, they're not being forced because of other companies making them do this. No, they're being forced because the U.S. government is making them do this.
Yep.
And I'm perfect. This is the type of thing that I am fine with the government, making companies do things like this. There are certain things that I'm like, yeah, you need to stay in your own lane. But this is fine.
This is exactly what the FTC is for.
Yes, this is what they are supposed to do. Especially because Comcast is technically not a monopoly, but they do a lot of monopolistic things when it comes to giving internet to places.
That's the thing. They kind of are a monopoly if you live in an area with just Comcast.
Yeah.
And there are lots of areas with just Comcast because they have written agreements with other cable providers for them to not operate in the same areas.
Yeah. Technically, I live in a place where I can get other internet. It's just that internet really, really sucks. So I'm not forced to use Comcast, but if I want any sort of decent internet speeds, I am forced to use Comcast.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
Your other options are wireless or DSL.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yikes.
And, stuff that doesn't, wireless that doesn't require infrastructure, as much infrastructure at least, or DSL, which uses your phone lines. And I don't know, listener, if you've looked at phone lines anytime in the past few decades, but they don't work too great. That's not a thing.
So if you are a Comcast customer at the moment using Xfinity, I would look into this because it's probably going to be cheaper than what you're currently paying. Maybe not for higher speeds. In my situation, this would be cheaper, but it's not going to give me any faster speeds. That's fine. I am fine with what I currently have for the most part. But I am going to look into this because I would like to save a little money on my internet. That's a nice thing. So, yes, Like I said, Comcast technically is not turning nice, but they are offering at least better deals.
That is good. Yeah. It's more competitive, I guess.
Absolutely.
So, nice. Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and move on. We're going to talk about some gaming news here. Got a quick couple little things. First, Microsoft, they did announce their Xbox Game Showcase, what date they're going for, which is usually around the same time. They're going to do their gaming showcase on Sunday, June 8th on there. So, and then after the event, they are going to have a deep dive into The Outer Worlds 2.
Oh.
So that will be what was it last year? They did one for Starfield, but it wasn't last year. And then they did one for, I can't remember the game last year, but they always do Call of Duty, wasn't it last year?
Oh, probably.
It was something like that where they'll do a big in-depth thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Outer Worlds too, though. Like Obsidian be busy. Holy crap!
Obsidian is busy
because they just released Avowed like a couple of months ago, and it's like, okay, on to Outer Worlds too. Is Avowed not selling well? I guess maybe just like oh crap.
I don't know. I've heard that one's a mixed review.
Like honestly, I don't know. I think I would be more likely to keep playing Avowed than I would be to play Outer Limits, or not Outer Limits. Sorry, Outer Worlds.
Yeah.
Outer Limits. This is a decent TV show when I was a kid. I kind of liked it. Anyways, that like Avowed has I don't know. What were people expecting from Avowed? I guess it has fun combat. Do you need more than that for like a basic hack and slash RPG? I feel like no. That's all Diablo has is fun combat.
I don't know.
And I freaking love Diablo too. Well, good luck, good fortune, Obsidian. We're all rooting for you. Don't get canceled.
I heard a lot of people like the first one, so the second.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, the first one was like critically acclaimed, and I feel like people have been really down on Avowed, and I'm like, are they really that different in quality? Because I feel like they're not. They're different. They're a different style of RPG, but
I don't know.
It's not like it's worse. It's just different.
I have not played it,
so strange.
All right, let's move on. We're going to talk about some Sea of Thieves. It is coming to the Battle.net launcher on May 22nd. Did we?
Why?
Why not, I guess?
Because we can.
Well, I'm assuming, I don't know. I know that they've been adding a bunch of other games to the Battle.net launcher. I think Avowed, Doom.
Are they just giving up on the Xbox app? Is that what this is? They're just moving everything over to Battle.net? And
I think what it is there's some people. So I was kind of looking this up, like, why would you want to do this? Well, I think it's because there's people that only play with the Battle.net launcher on PC. They don't have Steam. They don't have Xbox. They just play Battle.net games. And I mean, they want to see if maybe this would work. So, I mean, it's get it anywhere, any place. I don't think they're competing with themselves. It's just here's another way to go. But if you do this on May 22nd, you can, if you do have Game Pass, obviously you can just play it, but they do have different editions if you want to actually buy this. If you don't have Game Pass, you can buy the let's see, it starts at the $39.99 for the game, but then they do have the premium editions that you can go up. But if you do pre-order, you do get the 5 special Battle.net edition sales. So basically, the sales you can get are like for Hearthstone, Overwatch. They have their own ships and sales that you can put on there. But you also get like a cobalt looking, blue looking for weapons on there, so it kind of support the colors of Battle.net and that blue. So you can have these editions. What I'm assuming is that they're doing is I think they're just testing the waters to see if people will buy on Battle.net.
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. But apparently, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 is on Battle.net now.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, I kind of saw this coming when they bought it. I'm like, well, I'm going to assume that they're going to want data. And so if they start putting games in Battle.net and see if it's actually worth doing that, guess we'll find out. I just hope they don't try to change the name like Activision tried to do when everyone flipped their lid when they said they were going to change Battle.net's name to, what was it, Blizzard Games or something? Do you remember that a long time ago?
Yeah, I don't know. It's very much a case of just don't touch my stuff.
Yeah.
Like it is what it is. Don't screw with it, Microsoft. Just let it be. And I don't know if I'm like super on board with I don't know. There's a part of me that's all like, it, you know what? Make it just, do it, because flipping the Xbox app itself on PC is technically still in beta. Like their launcher has been in beta for like 5 years at this point, and it's still kind of buggy and kind of crap in a lot of ways. Battle.net is a much smoother experience, but I feel like part of the reason why Battle.net feels smoother is because it was only ever dealing with like 15
5
games
yeah,
kind of thing.
nothing
Yeah,
much.
like it's not
5
a lot.
franchises. Yeah.
And now they're adding more and more stuff. I'm just like, yeah, I don't know if this holds up.
If I had to guess and putting my thinking cap, I think it's just data. They want data. Like, hey, if we put these here, would anybody buy it? Or would anybody just subscribe to Game Pass? Just like, here, give me Game Pass and I'll play these games here. I don't know. That's my thought. That, like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So that's so when I saw Sea of Thieves, I was I'm like, it's another one, because I've already seen when, like I said, they're adding Doom, Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I mean, you were on the list there. I didn't bring it up, but I assume that it's...
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, I will say I appreciate. Like, I go to they have a placeholder page for Sea of Thieves, and I go to that page and it says you have purchased this game. So, like, it's obviously carrying my purchase over from technically the Microsoft Store was where I bought Sea of Thieves way back in the day, before Games Pass, before everything. I actually paid like cash money for Sea of Thieves, and that seems to be transferring. So, like, that's good, I guess. That's a good way to implement this. It's still just a little weird that they're doing it at all, but okay. We'll see how it goes.
I think it's because it's Battle.net, to be honest. I think it's because of that. Because I have my reservations about it too. I'm not so... I mean, what was it? Well, it was Destiny. Remember when Destiny hit way back in the day? And I think even
Destiny
I was like...
was in there.
Gross.
Like, what is going on?
So,
yeah.
So I get your feelings, and I bet there's a lot of other people too. But I think this is just... I think as long as they're not like putting the Xbox, this sounds terrible, but if they put Xbox everywhere on this, I don't think it'd work out. But if they just keep it as Battle.net, leave it alone, like you said, leave my stuff alone. But if you offer me a game, okay.
And it's like, so far they've got, the Activision Blizzard stuff that was there before, so Call of Duty, and then all of Blizzard's nonsense.
Yep.
And they're adding some stuff in there, like, the Obsidian games that they've got, some rare stuff, and it looked like they were kind of just doing mostly the Bethesda stuff as well. So it's not everything.
Right.
They're not putting everything on there.
No.
So I wonder if they're just going to try and keep it limited to like a selection of semi-independent, quote unquote, boutique developers are going to wind up in Battle.net, and then like everything else is going to be in the Xbox app. I don't know. This is all speculation. Who knows?
No, who knows? Who knows? I wonder if the event they'll have more on it. I don't know. Like, hey, we're going to use Battle.net as it's whatever.
In order for them to articulate a plan for Battle.net, I feel like they have to have a plan for Battle.net.
Maybe that's what BlizzCon is.
Do.
Maybe that's what BlizzCon will be.
Might just be throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks.
All right, we'll go ahead and we'll move on. We're going to talk about the Xbox mobile app. It had an update, or is going to be having an update here. So both in iOS and Android, it will allow users to purchase games and subscribe to Game Pass. Before, you couldn't do that because they obviously didn't want to pay the 30% to these companies. Now you're going to be able to. Who knows if they're going to pay the 30%? I'm almost guaranteeing they are.
I actually don't think they will be. I think that Apple has made some policy changes for the App Store fairly recently in response to the DMA that was passed in Europe last year. And their general policy changes have slightly broadened the definition of a digital storefront app, which they, so a store like Wayfair or Amazon or eBay or whatever, you purchase things through those apps, and Apple does not get a 30% cut of those, and they don't have to use the in-app purchase system through Apple to do that. And so, because that's a separate thing, right? In the App Store policy, they do not have to pay the commission. And I think that the way that they've redefined their terms and conditions at Apple has made it so that selling digital goods like games is now a part of that. So like they'll be able to
Maybe
sell
this is
you.
why it's happening.
Yeah,
then.
I think that's why. I'd have to double check, but essentially they're not selling you goods or subscriptions that can be used on the device that you're buying it from. Therefore, it isn't subject to the 30% fee, basically.
Now, what's interesting with this update is you get all this, but the cloud gaming is not there, and
Right.
they're taking away the ability to stream from your console so remote play. They're also taking that away.
And I
from
think
that.
that they have to do that in order to make it technically compliant with this, it being a digital storefront
Interesting. Okay.
by Apple's definition. So it's possible that they may take that stuff and roll it into a different app that all it is the streaming stuff. And then they'll have a separate app that is, here's our digital storefront and game management app. And those will be two separate things so that they can avoid paying the 30% fee to Apple.
Fair. Because right now they pretty much have said in a blog post, they said, hey, if you want to do remote play or even just the cloud, you have to go to the web browse and xbox.com/remote play. So,
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they roll out a separate app to cover that functionality in the future.
So currently, your phone is not an Xbox.
Oh, what?
Oh, snap.
Wow.
Yet.
Oh, man.
Yet.
Yeah, they got to fix that.
If that's, you know what? Now that you say that, that makes me think, Caleb says that, and I guess a little bit of Landon. I wonder if the Xbox Showcase, they're going to have something. Maybe this mobile store that they've been promising for 2 years now.
Yeah,
something
maybe.
of it. Who knows? So maybe this is speculation, but
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, like Caleb said, if they do come out with a different app that is literally like just like an Xbox gaming app or something like whatever the name's going to be that is
Right.
specifically for playing games, because they don't want to lose that ability.
there is a separate app that they had, but they did away with it. They just haven't supported it in a while, but it's called Xbox Game Pass, where you could, because remember a long time ago when we first started the podcast, I showed you on my phone playing Gears of War 4. I was like, look, there it is.
Yeah.
That was that app. So I wonder, maybe they'll update that one. Who knows? But I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm sure with how close we are to June, that's when they'll announce whatever that is. So, okay, we're going to move on. The Xbox console also had an update. It was about a 1.1 gigabyte update. The big part of this was basically you can now stream your own games. So before you could just stream, before downloading them, you could stream Game Pass games. Now you can stream games that you own digitally to the Xbox. So you're like, hey, I feel like quickly playing this. Or, hey, I'll hop on and play a quick match of Call of Duty, but I don't want to download 150 gigs. My friends want to play now. Here we go. You can do it. So it'll basically have a little cloud symbol on it that says, hey, you can play this in the cloud and do that now. So you can do that from the console. That's pretty much what the big thing was that you can play your own digital games.
I'm surprised this wasn't a thing before.
Well, you could do Game Pass games, but the actual one for your own games, it was in beta
right.
for a long time.
Right. I understand that. I find it interesting that this to me is like what Nintendo chat was for you guys. Like, this wasn't a thing 10 years ago.
It's true. You're not wrong. Because
It's
they did talk about it.
As soon as they gave you the ability to stream games,
Yeah.
that should have been what that meant. But instead, it meant, Game Pass games.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and let's move on. We're going to talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders. They were rescheduled, guys, to April 24th. And guess what? No price change.
Wow.
On the console itself.
On
Or the games.
console itself or games.
all of the accessories for the console, those have gone up in price.
Oh,
Which-
actually, I didn't look at that. I
Yeah,
just saw
like-
the other stuff. What
Or
was the other
maybe
stuff?
not all of them, but the majority of them. Like if you want to buy a spare dock, or if you want to buy an extra set of Joy-Cons, or if you want to buy their new Pro controller and all that stuff, all of those have gone up in price as far as I'm aware. Up to and including, I think, the little wrist strap thing that clicks on to the end of the Joy-Con. I think that has also gone up in price.
Don't buy that from Nintendo, listener.
It's like 15 or $20 now, something like that.
Go to a dollar store and get one yourself.
So the Joy-Con, here, I brought this up. The Joy-Cons, a pair of Joy-Cons is now $95.
Yeah, that's great.
That used to
You
be,
can-
what, 70?
You can spend $100 and get the worst controller on the planet. Awesome.
Ouch. Your Joy-Con strap says $13.99.
Oh, $13.99.
Yeah.
There you go.
The charging grips is now $39.99. The Joy-Con 2 wheel set is $25. The dock, the Switch Dock 2 set is now $120.
Holy poop. What?
$119.99.
That's a freaking HDMI adapter. Like, that's a USB-C to HDMI adapter that does pass-through charging, listener. They want $130 for that? No. What? Nintendo. It's got a fan now.
Yeah,
Frickin'.
it has a fan. That's what it is. It's a fan.
That's what justifies the extra $100.
There it is. Jeez.
Oh, man. So, yes, prices did go up, just not for the console itself or any of the games they've announced. Also, no word on what supply is going to be like. You're going to get your pre-order in,
True.
and then you're going to have to wait 2 years for your pre-order to launch or to ship. Like,
True.
we
They didn't
don't
say
know.
anything about that.
Don't know
Well-
what supply will be.
I'd be willing to bet they shipped a whole bunch of these into wherever they're going to sell them a month or two ago. And so
Yeah.
most pre-orders are probably going to be okay. And as long as you get in within the first hour or so, probably.
And in order to pre-order, you have to have played a certain amount of Switch time, like time on Switch in the past month.
To be able to
You have
pre-order.
to have been you have to have a Nintendo membership, like subscription. You've had to have had one for a certain amount of time, like 6
Mhm.
months or something like that. And yeah, like they're only selling it to people that have demonstrated that they are like all in on Nintendo.
Yep.
So I would not qualify. I cannot pre-order a Nintendo Switch 2. And Landon, you can't either.
Nope.
Wes, you probably could.
Probably because I have that subscription that you're using.
Yep. You have the subscription, and if you haven't been playing
So-
the Switch over the past
what I'm
couple of
hearing
months,
is I
your
have to
kids
pre-order.
probably have.
I have to pre-order for Landon, is what I'm hearing. That's
Listen, if anybody's pre-ordering, you're the only one of us that actually could. So yeah, it's like a whole thing. And even then, like, because they're doing that to make sure that they don't have as many pre-orders as they would otherwise, and to prevent scalpers from getting their hands on as many
Yeah.
consoles as they would normally. So that's good. I'm not necessarily
which is
like,
appreciative, yes.
yeah, right. I'm not necessarily saying they shouldn't do this, but I still think that even with those restrictions in place, they're probably going to sell out of their existing stock inside the United States in less than an hour. Honestly, probably minutes. And then who knows how long it's going to take for more consoles to come into the US after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Anywho, let's go ahead and move on. We're done talking about Nintendo. We're going to talk about Sony. Sony, they are raising some prices again on their PlayStation 5, but it's only in Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. Sorry, other places.
Man,
Let's go ahead and I'll just get through these here in Europe. I'm just going to say the number. I'm not going to say what the actual money is, pounds or whatever it is for each one of these. So previously it was $449. It went up to $499. And that's for the PlayStation 5 digital edition. It actually also is saying that the PS5 disc drive went from $79.99 to $119.99.
Oh gosh, dang it!
The UK, was previously $389.99, is now going up to $429. The disc drive was $69.99, is now going up to $99.99. Australia, we're looking at the PS5 edition. It says it's just going to say $749.
Yep.
And then with the disc drive, so that one was the digital edition. Now with the disc drive, it's $829. And the disc drive will now be $124, or whatever it is for Australia. Australian dollar dues, or whatever they're called.
Yeah, dollary dues, I think is the technical term.
And New Zealand, the PS5 with the disc drive, wow, $949.95. The digital edition is going to be $859, and then the disc drive will be $139.95.
You remember how back in like the 80s, having a console at home was like expensive, you know? And having a bunch of games was expensive. Like gaming was an expensive hobby back in the day. And then we got into the 90s and the 2000s and it got cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. It became super accessible for all kinds of people. And guess that was a pendulum swing, listener, and we are now on the uptick side of that swing. For the next decade, it's just going to keep getting more and more expensive until almost nobody can do it anymore. Gaming be expensive these days.
Yeah.
It's kind of rough.
Yeah. Terrible. No one likes these raising prices. Anywho, well, that's all the gaming news that we have that I wanted to mention through there. Quite a bit, kind of little tits for tat. Good. I think it's good information on some things like the Xbox mobile app. Maybe we'll see something during the Xbox showcase. Sea of Thieves coming to BattleNet. Okay, guess we'll see what happens there. Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders. Awesome if you can get one, I guess.
Good luck.
And Landon, I just expect before I pay, I need that $500 or whatever Mario Kart you're wanting.
What? No, I thought you said gift. You're going to gift it to me.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give you a gift of a kick in the pants if you want, and then you stand over, whichever. And we're going to move on to the next segment, which is one of our favorite segments, listener. We have a segment that we like to call our Doom News. And I'm going to pass it over to Caleb.
Yes. So this one, listener, is a little bit weird. Normally, we like to talk about, we like to set aside time to talk about Doom modders making the internet a better place. This is not Doom modders, but it is in the spirit of Doom modding? ? Like, I think that's our new segment, in the spirit of Doom modders. I don't know. No, I'm not actually calling a segment that, listener, just to be clear. So Bethesda and id Software have announced a special collector's edition of Doom and Doom 2, like the original Doom and Doom 2, called the Will It Run edition, which, you know, the thing that makes Doom modders great is that they will make Doom run on anything and everything that is powered by electricity. And they're playing into that, right? So this is a $666 collector's edition that will have 666 copies sold, right? It's very limited selection. This is going to include versions of the game for Steam, like a Steam digital code. It also will include the Switch, PS5, and Xbox versions of the game as well. It will have cassette tapes of the soundtracks for both Doom and Doom 2, which, I mean, that's a vibe for sure. Not the best way to listen to that music, but it is a vibe, 100%. You'll also be getting limited edition signed trading card packs, a decorative cacodemon figurine that is magnetic and floats hovering over its little pedestal. And then the two things that actually make this cool, you get a little handheld cacodemon that plays Doom. It's just a little Doom Game Boy, essentially. It's like a Game & Watch for Doom that's shaped like a cacodemon. And the box that all of this ships in will also play Doom. That, like, the box will. So yeah, you get the game, you can play it on your PC, you can play it on consoles, you get a little handheld version of the game to carry around in your pocket, but also you could just be like your cat, and instead of playing with the stuff in the box, just play on the box.
Yeah.
There you go. So yeah, this isn't Doom modders, right? Like, this is coming directly from Bethesda and id, but it is very much in the spirit of the community that has been built up around Doom. And that's great. Like, I appreciate that.
It is. It's good to see that id is doing that too. So, you gonna pre-order it?
No. Can you imagine? I don't have $600 to spend on a ridiculous Doom collectible.
And this is where they failed.
I'm still running a Ryzen 5 2600 in my gaming PC, man. Like, come on. If I was going to spend $600 on something, it would be a new platform for my computer. so that I can then run Doom.
I think they said they only made 666 of them too, right?
Yep. 666 for $666. Because, lean into it. And honestly, I'm here for it. This is not, and the fact that they made such a limited number of them is them acknowledging most people should not buy this.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to play Doom, there's loads of ways to do it. You can play it on demonstrably just about anything. So just play it on one of those. For the vast majority of people, there's absolutely no reason to buy this thing. But they figure, yeah, there's 666 people with more money than sense that love this game as much as we do. So here's a cool box for them.
Deal.
So I'm down with that. That's fair.
Awesome. Well, listener, I think that brings this episode to a close, unless, Landon, do you have one more thing for us?
No.
Thought really, really hard on that one. All right. Well, listener, we appreciate you listening to all the way through. And as long as you have throughout the years, man, it's been 8 years? This year, we're working on 9?
Yeah, almost 9 years.
Isn't that weird to think? October.
Wow.
Be 9 years completed of this podcast. We might have to do another one of those, what we've lasted longer than in tech world, just to see. That was a fun one. I really enjoyed doing that. That was pretty fun. We'll have to see for what we've lasted longer than certain things.
Basically what's been canceled since the last time we did that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. Well, listener, we appreciate it. If you want to get a hold of us, you can on our social media platforms, as well as callingallplatforms.com. You can also take a look at some videos that they're there. If you want to take a look at them.
Yep. Lots of old videos. They're great.
Calling All Platforms on YouTube. You can take a look at that. Subscribe. Leave a comment. You can also, if you want to, we are on Patreon over there. Take a look at our Patreon and give $1, however much, to say, hey, Caleb, maybe work on a video or something. That might help. Because then he kind of has to. Fair. You know what I'm saying? Kind of has to.
That's valid. That's valid.
All right, dear listener. Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Calling All Platforms is a production of Supporter Sound Studios. To learn more about how you can support the podcast, go to www.patreon.com/callingallplatforms.